Chapter 4. First Blood and First Power. Jeongyoon woke to the sharp snap of twigs outside the shack. His eyes shot open. Moonlight filtered through the dusty window, casting shadows across the wooden floor. His heartbeat surged, not with fear, but anticipation. This is it, the first monster encounter. He slid quietly off the sleeping mat, reaching for the metal rod he'd salvaged earlier. Across from him, Chulsoo was already up, silently slipping his jacket on. His expression was tense, focused. Jeongyoon's chest fluttered at the sight. So dependable, he thought again, not for the first time. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Chulsoo positioned himself by the door, gripping a rusted crowbar. Jeongyoon crouched behind a stacked crate, scanning the dim woods outside through the crack in the boards. The creature came into view slowly, long limbs, mottled skin, like ash, and glowing white eyes that shimmered with unnatural hunger. It looked like a human once, but not anymore. The corrupted, the early monsters, born from the first gate's energy. Not the strongest, but fast, relentless. It lunged toward the shack. "Now!" Jeongyoon shouted. Chulsoo kicked the door open just as the thing charged, swinging, his crowbar with all his weight. The impact cracked loudly across its skull, but it didn't fall. It shrieked and slashed across Chulsoo's chest. Jeongyoon cursed, rushing forward, power flaring in his hands. Golden light surged from his palms as he pressed them against Chulsoo's bleeding shirt. The wound sealed instantly. But something changed. Chulsoo gasped. The temperature dropped sharply. Then, boom! A wave of force exploded outward from Chulsoo's body, throwing the creature into a nearby tree like a rag doll. The wood splintered from the impact. Jeongyoon fell back, blinking. "You awakened!" Chulsoo stood there, panting, steam rising off his skin. His eyes glowed faintly blue. "What was that?" he muttered. "Your power," Jeongyoon said, pushing himself up. "Raw energy release, kinetic shock waves. You're basically a human missile now." Chulsoo turned to him, still stunned. "You weren't kidding." "I told you." Jeongyoon smirked. "Tank type." Chulsoo stared at his hands. "I felt angry, not scared. Just like something clicked. Instinct." Jeongyoon tilted his head. "You always had the potential. It just needed blood to wake up." The corrupted creature groaned behind them. Chulsoo turned and walked to it without hesitation, crushing its skull with one precise stomp. Jeongyoon didn't flinch. He just watched as Chulsoo stood over the corpse, chest heaving, glowing slightly in the moonlight. Power pulsed around him, like waves crashing against stone, and Jeongyoon felt it, down to his core. This man was terrifying, but also, he's mine. Later, they returned to the shack. Jeongyoon patched up the scratches along Chulsoo's arm, working in silence. "You didn't hesitate back there," Chulsoo said quietly. "Most people would have frozen." Jeongyoon gave a small shrug. "I already died once, not planning to do it again." Chulsoo frowned. "You keep saying that. Do you mean it?" Jeongyoon looked up. "What if I told you I remember everything? That I saw the end of the world, that I lived through it, then died exactly 1 year later, used and betrayed?" Chulsoo's jaw tightened. "And now you're trying to change that," he said slowly. Jeongyoon nodded. "Exactly." Chulsoo looked at him for a long moment. Then, instead of questioning or doubting him, he just reached forward and wiped a smear of blood from Jeongyoon's cheek with his thumb. "You won't die this time," he said, voice low. "Not if I'm here." Jeongyoon's heart did something stupid. He scoffed and looked away. "You're sounding like a clingy boyfriend. I'm clingy with people I like," Chulsoo muttered under his breath. Jeongyoon's ears turned red. "What?" "Nothing." They sat in silence again, the fire crackling softly. Jeongyoon pulled out the last can of strawberry milk from his bag, opened it, and took a sip. Chulsoo watched him, a small smile tugging at his lips. "You really like that stuff, huh?" "It's my last comfort," Jeongyoon replied. "Don't judge me. I'm not." Chulsoo leaned back, arms folded. "I think it suits you." "What? Strawberry milk?" Chulsoo's eyes softened slightly. "Sweet, but kind of addictive." Jeongyoon nearly choked on the drink. "Go to sleep," he muttered, flustered, tossing a blanket over Chulsoo's head. But he was smiling. Chapter 5. The bond begins. The next few days were a blur of motion and survival. Jeongyoon led them with confidence, maneuvering through ruined roads, collapsed buildings, and infected zones like a man who'd lived this life before. Which, of course, he had. Chulsoo didn't ask many questions. He watched. He learned. And, more often than not, he shielded. Their roles came naturally. Jeongyoon, the mind. Chulsoo, the muscle. The world was getting worse. More monsters were spilling out from the growing cracks in the sky. The weak died quickly. The strong killed to stay ahead. But Jeongyoon didn't care about the world. Not yet. His mission was simpler. Survive, grow stronger, and never be used again. Oh, and stick to his future beast of a lover, who currently looked like Sin with grayish-blue hair, bloody knuckles, and a knack for glaring at anything that came too close to Jeongyoon. At first it was amusing. Then it got absurd. Like the time they stopped by an abandoned supply shop. Jeongyoon had just started talking to a survivor, young, harmless, clearly just grateful for a moment of peace, when Chulsoo appeared behind him like a looming shadow. "Is he bothering you?" he asked coldly. The man nearly dropped the canned food he was holding. "He was offering me bandages," Jeongyoon said dryly. "I can carry them." "You don't need to carry everything." "Wait, are you flexing your biceps on purpose?" "No." He absolutely was. They found temporary shelter in an old military storage bunker in the countryside. It wasn't in any survivor maps yet. Jeongyoon remembered it being discovered weeks later in the original timeline. For now, it was safe. Stocked with food, water, even basic weaponry. Chulsoo dropped his heavy backpack and immediately started doing push-ups by the wall. Jeongyoon watched from the bed, sipping warm strawberry milk and raising a brow. "Now? Really?" Chulsoo grunted. "Gotta stay in shape. You just carried 3 bodies worth of meat and supplies down a hill." "Exactly. Gotta be dependable." Jeongyoon narrowed his eyes. Something clicked. "Are you working out because I said I like muscular men?" Chulsoo didn't answer. Which was an answer. Jeongyoon smirked. He got up, sauntered over, and crouched beside him. "You're ridiculous," he said, poking Chulsoo's arm. "You already have enough muscles to bench press a bear." "You looked impressed yesterday when I threw that ogre," Chulsoo muttered between reps. "Not gonna lie." Jeongyoon shrugged, eyes trailing down his sweat-slicked arms. "That was hot." Chulsoo paused mid-push-up and slowly looked up. "You think I'm hot?" Jeongyoon stood immediately. "Shut up." "So you admit it?" "I said that was hot, not you. Don't get ahead of yourself." "You literally just said, 'Shut up or I'll throw this milk at you.'" "I'd rather you sit on me." Jeongyoon almost dropped the bottle. "You—" Chulsoo rolled over and lay flat on the floor, arms behind his head, smirking. "What?" "You're the one staring at my arms." "I was inspecting for injury," Jeongyoon lied. Chulsoo gave a pointed look. "You were blushing." "I was—" Jeongyoon caught his reflection in a nearby glass case. Damn it, he was blushing. Bright red. Like a damn strawberry. "I hate you," he muttered, retreating to his bed. Chulsoo chuckled. Not the usual amused sound. This one was softer. Fond. And for the rest of the night, he didn't work out. He just lay near the bed, staring up at the cracked ceiling, glancing over at Jeongyoon every few minutes, like he couldn't help it. Jeongyoon pretended not to notice. By morning, the sky had turned a deeper shade of purple. They were less than a week away from the first dungeon break. Jeongyoon sat by the bunker entrance, sketching a map from memory while chewing on a protein bar. Chulsoo joined him with a new custom-modified spear in hand. "That the dungeon where you died last time?" he asked. Jeongyoon nodded. "Yup, that's where he betrayed me." Chulsoo's grip on the spear tightened. Jeongyoon looked up at him and for the first time said it out loud. "Won Chae-hyung." "The man who used you," Chulsoo said quietly. "Your lover." "Not anymore. You still love him?" "No." Jeongyoon stared at the horizon. "But I used to think I did. I used to believe the kind touches meant something. That healing for him, exhausting myself, being his support, would make him stay." "And me?" Chulsoo asked, voice low. "What do I mean to you?" Jeongyoon blinked, startled. "You're the one I'm clinging to now." Chulsoo looked at him, long and hard. then nodded once. That's good enough. That night, as Jeongyoon drifted off, he felt something warm drape over his shoulder. A jacket. Chulsoo's. He didn't say anything, just pulled it tighter and smiled. Maybe, this time, he'd live. Chapter 6. Dungeon Break. 5 days before the end of the world. The first dungeon cracked open like a wound in the earth. It wasn't dramatic at first, just a tremor beneath their feet. A low, bone-deep rumble that rolled through the hills. Like a warning growl, Jeongyoon sat up in the bunker, senses sharp. It's happening. Chulsoo, already geared up, handed him a flask of water. How long do we have? Not long. Jeongyoon stood, strapping his belt. When a gate destabilizes, the dungeon floods with corrupted mana. Within 6 hours, monsters start pouring out like rats from hell. He turned to Chulsoo, eyes hard. We're not here to clear it. We're not? No. We're here to make sure we get noticed. Chulsoo blinked. You're using this as a PR stunt? Jeongyoon grinned wickedly. Exactly. Reputation is everything once the apocalypse hits. Power attracts allies. Feared power attracts obedience. You're scarier than the monsters sometimes, Chulsoo muttered, but followed him without question. They reached the edge of the dungeon by noon. It was a cavern-like crater, twisted rock and glowing purple mist rising from the ground. A metallic stench filled the air. Blood, magic, and something wrong. The barrier was already fraying. Jeongyoon pulled a thin, golden thread of healing light into his palm. Port type awakened usually hang back. You never do, Chulsoo said, tightening the straps of his armor. I never said I was normal. Jeongyoon's eyes glinted. Let's hunt. The first wave of monsters spilled from the gate like floodwater. Ghouls, corrupted wolves, horned apes with rotting fur and too many teeth. Their eyes glowed with feral hunger. Chulsoo met them head-on. His power pulsed through the ground with every step. He punched the first creature straight through the jaw, sending it flying into a tree. Then came the second, the third. He moved like a force of nature. Controlled destruction, muscle and speed and power in perfect sync. And Jeongyoon? He was right behind him. Golden light dancing from his fingertips. Every time Chulsoo was grazed or sliced, the wounds sealed in seconds. No hesitation. No waste. The synergy between them was almost beautiful. One destroyed, one restored, like fire and air, like storm and sky. At some point, a mutated wolf leapt at Jeongyoon from the side. Before he could react, a spear flew past his ear and impaled the beast mid-air. Jeongyoon looked back in surprise. Chulsoo was breathing hard, eyes burning. Don't ever look away from me again. Jeongyoon blinked, a smile tugging at his lips. Jealous of a dog now? If anything touches you, Chulsoo growled, I break it. Jeongyoon pretended to sigh. So possessive. So toxic. But his chest was warm. Thrillingly so. Hours later, the field was quiet. Monster corpses littered the grass. The dungeon trembled behind them, but the waves had stopped for now. Jeongyoon leaned against a rock, panting, sweat dripping down his neck. I forgot how intense the early breaks were. Chulsoo sat beside him, bloodied and bruised, but very much alive. Did we make enough noise for your plan? Oh yeah. Jeongyoon pulled out a small crystal stone from his coat, embedded with a low-level recording rune. This little thing caught every moment of your rampage. You're leaking our footage? Chulsoo said flatly. I'm leaking your abs, Jeongyoon corrected. Let the future warlords know who not to mess with. You're insane. Jeongyoon winked. And cute. Chulsoo froze. Did you just admit I'm cute? Jeongyoon blinked. Crap. No. I said I'm cute. You're just dangerously buff. Chulsoo leaned in, eyes glinting with mischief. You think I'm cute sometimes, when I pout. I never said that. You muttered it when you thought I was asleep 2 nights ago. Jeongyoon flushed red. You were supposed to be asleep. I was pretending. You called me weirdly adorable. Shut up. Chulsoo leaned even closer, smirk deepening. Angel. Jeongyoon blinked. What did you just call me? Chulsoo stared at him, expression unreadable. A naughty angel. Jeongyoon gawked. What is wrong with you? You're literally wearing blood-splattered white. And you keep smiling like you've committed tax fraud. Jeongyoon burst out laughing. It echoed through the broken field, and for a moment, the apocalyptic world felt light. That night, back in their hideout, Jeongyoon curled up beside the fire, sipping hot water with a few strawberry candies dissolved in it. It wasn't strawberry milk, but it was close. Chulsoo was cleaning his blade nearby, casting glances every so often. When Jeongyoon caught him staring, Chulsoo quickly looked away. "Do I have blood on my face?" Jeongyoon teased. "No," Chulsoo muttered. "Just watching you. You act like you've never seen a guy eat strawberry soup before." "Because I haven't. It's weird. It's delicious. It's cute." Jeongyoon paused. "You're getting bolder. I almost died today." Chulsoo met his eyes. "If I want something now, I'm saying it." Jeongyoon stared at him. And this time he didn't look away.